My name is Ralf Pasel. I'm an architect from Germany and the Netherlands, but also I'm a professor for architecture at the Technical University in Berlin. And I'm in Beirut for the City Debate Conference 2018, which is very inspiring to me because we work in Germany in an initiative called Home Not Shelter, an initiative that works together with refugees, mainly from Syria, but also from Afghanistan or other African countries, where we work in a collaborative process together with our students, our staff, and also refugees on housing projects that are beyond the usual housing situations the refugees come into when they arrive in Germany. So these housing projects, they are, if you want, a certain particular form of temporary but turning into permanent housing structures that can be adapted over time depending on whether the people are going to stay or whether the people are going to return after a while, after a couple of years or after a couple of months. So it leaves the end open, and it's actually a precondition, we think, of every urban form of dwelling, which the spaces we live in, at least in Berlin, for example, in the European city, they are not really appropriate for. So this sort of flexibility or the adaptivity that is needed in the urban living in general is something we can try out with these two groups, mainly the students and architecture students from countries where, like Syria or Afghanistan, where they had to leave their home. And this transitory stage of housing is something we're very, very much interested in, and we believe actually it's going to be creating the basis for a new housing typology that would allow us also, being in Europe, to be able to live more flexible in our daily work-life routines, because most of us work in different cities at the same time, parallel. So the linear process of housing have to turn into a parallel process of typological space development that is actually being able to be inhabited. And with that group of people, it's very nice to work together because they bring that flexibility and the experience with them. And they are able to describe a very sharp brief actually of how these spaces may look like and may actually be generated in practice, in reality, later. So, and at the moment we work, apart from the research and the design project we tested out, we have realized the first real project in Austria, in Vienna, where we transformed an old office building into a temporary student and refugee home for 3 years, where 150 students and refugees together worked on the transformation of that architectural space, on the architectural project. They designed it and they hands-on worked together on it, and they kind of formed that sort of community that lived in the space for 3 years together. And it was an amazing thing to see actually, and the thing we're working on now is to put that up on the next level. So in Berlin and in Stuttgart and Oldenburg, 3 cities in Germany, we work on collective housing projects in a low-cost setting, which includes the future inhabitants to be actively part in the building process as well, in order to enhance the identification with that project and creating a home for themselves.